Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of it. That's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we are commanded to support Israel, but we are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay. You believe that's what God was talking about in Genesis?
I do. But
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years.
If you know that we are still living in the time of the Gentiles, and the Bible says that in the last day that Satan will deceive the whole world, and then if you think that it's impossible that the devil has succeeded in making lies the dominant doctrine in the world, even among Christians at some certain levels, then you need to think again. Hi everyone, you are welcome to the Evangel News YouTube channel. If this is your first time coming across this channel, I would like you to subscribe, like, comment, and most importantly, turn on your notification button to get notified for whenever we upload a new video. In part 2 of this Awakening series, I reviewed the wife of the 12 sons of Jacob. And I revealed so many things from the Bible that would help us to realize the true identity of the descendants of Israel. And we discovered that they are like every other African that we see today, black and brown in complexion. So join me as we reveal more mystery in this part 3. This Bible and history that I'm teaching today, I didn't learn it from school or in the church. Yet it has to deal with the future of this earth. You know, sometimes I wonder what will happen if the whole world wakes up to the reality that the real children of Israel are the ones that they have enslaved, say racist words to. Some of those that they regard as the least in racial classification, or those that they have treated wrongly in their country, maybe because of their tribe or something, that those ones are the real chosen people of Yahweh. I wonder how they will feel. Honestly, I wonder what will happen. It's neither they repent fully, accepting the truth of this revelation that I'm revealing today. Maybe they will treat us better, or they will reject this whole book called the Bible that they have once put in high regard, because it's not about the people that they wish or they want. In whichever way, what will happen is that Yahweh will test their hearts and their love for Him to know whether it's genuine or not. I pray many of you don't fall just because of tribal or racial hate ignited by Satan.
Never underestimate the love of God for the Jewish people. Never. There are dozens of scriptures that tell you how much God loves Israel. 2 Samuel 7 says, "And who is like your people Israel, the one nation that God went to create for Himself?" Not America, not Europe, Israel. That's God's favorite place, because God said, "I have put my name there that I may be remembered forever." God told Moses to tell Pharaoh in Exodus 4:22, "Israel is my son, my firstborn son. If you refuse to let him go, you tell Pharaoh, I will kill his son. I will kill his son." The Jewish people are a covenant people. That covenant is still in effect. They are a cherished people. They are called the apple of God's eye. They are a chosen people. The Bible says they are my firstborn. Jesus said to the Samaritan, "Salvation is of the Jews." Everything Christians have came to us through the Jewish people. That's what that means.
As I keep revealing these things, it's something to be proud of that the whole world relied on this book written by our ancestors that dedicated their life for Yahweh. Even though they have told the history of running the world with this fabricated version, and have successfully brought the whole world under control with it. That's to show you how powerful Bible and our Father, Yahweh, is. The Elohim of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our ancestors. And the good news is that He still has plans to reveal Himself and return the truth of His worship and the reign of His people. His kingdom must come, and soon it will. And this generation will see it. Anyway, with that being said, this is the Awakening series part 3, and is divided into 3 segments. One is to briefly reveal the lineage of Japheth, connecting it to the true modern state of Israel. Second is the sin of the biblical Israel that resulted to their curse, the predicament of the real children of Israel, as a sign of their identification throughout the history till today. Thirdly, it's about the misconception of the fake 400 years of slavery that we all was brainwashed to believe, and the revealing of the real one that will result to the restoration of the real Israel and the reign of Messiah in Zion, even the new age. After the war of Armageddon comes with the Mahanaim, then the kingdom of heaven will swallow the kingdom of this world forever. Power will change hand, that's for sure. It will be a shocker. As this series goes on, the mystery gets deeper. Yeah, sometimes my videos will be long, but trust me, it's totally worth it. Some things are not taught in school. Some are downloads from another realm that's about to take over this earth. The realms are already preparing. The kingdom of this world shall soon become the kingdom of our Elohim and His saints. This world will soon enter revelation that will welcome their coming. Let's start from the first segment. Okay, so about the lineage of Japheth and the modern Jews. To make sure I clear the doubt about the terrible false narrative the world has been under, I'm welcoming you to the reality of this world and its near future. So we will start from the sons of Japheth. Genesis 10:2-5. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Medea, Japhon, Tubal, Meshech, Tyrus. The son of Gomer: Ashkenazi, Riphat, Tagoma. The sons of Javon: Elisha, Tashish, Kittim, Dudanim. From these, the coastland people spread to their lands, and each with its own language, by their clans in their nations. That's Genesis 10:2-5. The coastland region of the Gentiles is referred primarily around the Mediterranean Sea, Europe, and part of Asia Minor. Even if you search it in the Google, you will see it. So it's not something hidden. I could just stop here because it's not really such a mystery. But let me explain a little bit more till I get to the modern Jews. The book of Jubilee gave us a detail on the temperature to identify such locations. In book of Jubilee 8:29-30, it says, "This is the land emerged for Japheth and his children as his hereditary share, which he could occupy for himself and his children throughout his generation forever. 5 large islands and a large island in the north. However, it is cold, and the land for Ham is hot. Shem's land is neither hot nor cold, but it's a mixture of cold and heat," still proving the legitimacy of what I've been explaining since part 1. Let me explain in a little more details. This is the breakdown of today's sons of Japheth. In Genesis 10:2-5, we saw that Gomer was one of the sons of Japheth, and he had 3 sons: Ashkenazi, Riphat, and Tagoma. And those 3 sons were the fathers of Germans, French, Wales, Irish, Britain. They are the Sumerians, they are the Celts. The ancestry is traced back to Gomer in the Bible. Another son is called Magog. Greek historians call them Scythians, those that migrated through the Central Asia and dwelt around the North Asia, whose descendants are today's Russia and Ukraine. So the third one, Media, that's where the Medes descends from. They were given a land around the Caspian Sea, that's in Shem's land, because he married a Shemite, and he pleaded with his in-laws, Elam, those are Elamites, and Ashur, those are Assyrians. He pleaded with them to live among them in that region. For Bible references, you can find it in the book of Jubilee, chapter 10:35-36. They mixed a lot with other nations, kingdoms, and tribes, even though they are not the same race or the same people. Though they are distant cousins as at then, even all humanity came from one parents, by the way. So their correlation, neither by geographical areas or their intermingling through peace, affected ancient kingdoms like Elamites, Assyrians. But their popular correlation was their unification with the Persians, forming the United Kingdom that appeared in the Bible as the Middle Persia Empire. Remember that great statue in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream? Arm and chest is of silver, and one hand Middle, and the other one Persia, in the book of Daniel. So for Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus, or the Thracians, they associated to Tubal, Turks, Iberians, and Gog. For Bible references for Tubal and Mishka, Ezekiel 39:1. "Son of man, prophesied against Gog and say, this is what the sovereign Yahweh says, I am against you, O Gog, chief priest of Meshech and Tubal." Another one is Ezekiel 38:2. It says, "Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief priest of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him." So Tubal and Meshech are associated to Gog. For Tyrus, they are the Turks, that's Turkey. They are also around Armenia, Romania, Bulgaria. I promised to talk about Japheth today, so you see how tribes are divided, right? But there are a lot of mixing along the line though. That's why you see some race talking between white and black racial classification today. Okay, so let's continue. Another son of Japheth, and the last one that I will talk about today, is Javon. He is the father of the Greeks. That's simple. So now let me divide with this one. Among the descendants of Japheth, we saw one of the sons of Gomer called Ashkenazi, and is the father of the Germanic race. Ashkenaz in Jewish language literally means German. Just Google what does Ashkenazi mean, and this is the answer you will see. Ashkenazi is referred to a Jewish ethno-religious group with ancestors who live in Central and Eastern Europe, particularly in areas like Germany, Poland, and Russia. The term comes from Ashkenaz, a Hebrew Bible name that was applied in the Middle Ages to Jewish community. In the Rhineland, these Jews developed a distinct culture and language called Yiddish, and now form one of the major ancestral group of the modern Jewry, alongside Sephardic Jews. So, what is Yiddish? Yiddish is a West Germanic language historically spoken by Ashkenazi Jews, which is a fusion of Germanic, Hebrew, and Slavic elements. That Yiddish language that they're speaking today. Ashkenazi Jews came to the modern land of Israel in 1948. That's the establishment of the modern state of Israel. I just read to you where they came from. And you see people answering Ashkenazi Jews today, and you ignorantly think that they are the real biblical Jews the Bible was speaking about. And you think that they will or have already fulfilled the biblical prophecy that Yahweh promised his people, both restoration and redemption. How can they fulfill the prophecy when they are not even the one that the Bible was talking to? It's crazy how strategic and strong Satan is in lies and deception. Now I know the reason why the Bible called him the father of all lies. He has deceived the whole world. The truth is always in front of you, but you don't see it. If you say all these things doesn't matter anymore, then you are either working for the devil himself to keep deceiving the whole world, or you are ignorant and nonchalant. That's even if you are a believer in the first place. Anyways, let's continue. So they can always deny it and say that it's just because they were in Germany, that's why they are called Ashkenazi Jews. But the truth is that they are a compilation of descendants of Japhites, Western and Central Europeans converted to Judaism from various places like Ukraine, Germany, Hungary, Poland, even Turks. They are Caucasoid Jews, an extension of the Khazar Empire. Because of time, let me give you a little summary about the information I've gotten from history books like Jews of Khazarians and the 13th Tribe by Brooks and Kosler. Origin of the white Jews and Khazar Empire that are converted to Judaism. So because of time, in summary, it says that Khazars were listed among the nomadic tribes around north of the Caucasus Mountain. In 13th Tribe, it was documented that around 8th century, that Islamic and Christianity were the dominant movement spreading by force through military conquest. So the Khazar Empire were like the third force, and they don't want to be on each side. So they converted to Judaism for the purpose of independence, and they made sure that their own political movement was more accurate, more ancient, and superior to both Islam and Christianity, because both Islam and Christianity believe in Torah, and they believe in Abraham as the father of their faiths. That's why those two religions are called the Abrahamic religion. So after so many deliberations on doctrine, debates, trying to convince King Bulan on converting to neither Muslim or Christianity by 3 clergymen that came to confuse him, then he made his decision, and around 10th century, the Khazars converted to Judaism. Now they are called the Jewish people. That ish in English language simply means to some extent, or having a characteristics, not original. They are just one of being. And if you want to try the authenticity of these historical books, some people always want to live in lies, and they never want to hear the truth. So they want to say that all this history are lies, but it's not. In fact, that's the history that the whole world recognizes and keep in the museum as original historical events.
The Morgan Library right here. We're speaking of the Byzantine world. Right there we see a map. And then when we get here, we see about the Khazars. Period. If you zoom in, see how they say they converted to Judaism.
That's the museum and a research library opened to the public in 1924. And JP Morgan is not just a random person. He's an elite banker. According to some conspiracy theorists, they say he's one of the 7 powerful families that secretly rules this world through their wealth and influence, an affiliation with some secret society. Conspiracy, I'm not saying that it's facts, okay? But the fact is that he's an elite banker. I'm revealing all this so that you understand the tricks that the devil played. The devil played a trick with the help of the Balfour Declaration in 1917. Then in 1947, descendants of these people was gathered and acted as if they fulfilled the biblical prophecy by the help of the Freemason Rothschilds. In fact, they initially wanted to establish the modern state of Israelites in East Africa. I believe that they must have thought of it like, if we say that this is their homeland, this African will one day think that, so biblical Israelites lived among Africans. That could mean that they were black like Africans too. So they immediately knew that that was a bad idea. And as they erased and removed everywhere that Judah was written in the ancient map of Africa, they also relocated them to Palestine as it is today. Do you know that the Rothschild family dynasty is a Jewish family? The real question to ask is, how can Ashkenazi people, some of them trace back to the Khazar empires and to Jaffa, compilation of European, how can they be the biblical Hebrew people from the line of Shem? It doesn't make any sense.
Hello.
Hi.
Where are you from?
I'm from Israel.
Where are you originally from?
London, England.
And you're in Israel now?
I'm not ashamed of anything I've ever done in my life, especially not coming to Israel, because I felt I needed to fight for my country as opposed to you.
You're from London. You're from London. Israel is not your country.
I'm Israeli. I was always Israeli. My family's not Israeli at all. I always felt, and that maybe you should learn.
Oh my God, you came from London. You just said that my whole family is not Israeli, but I am because I choose to be. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Look at the type of Jews they are. Their Jews was never about bloodline, like how Yahuwah was. It was never by covenant. This is not a conspiracy theory. These are just facts that the world has been hiding all these years. Even if you browse who are the Khazar Jews, AI Overview will compile the answer for you. It's not a hidden history. But they know that people won't find out. King Bulan basically chose Judaism so that he won't be attached to the spreading of Islamic caliphates or Roman Catholic expansion through the Crusaders. And it's good to know that both expansion are through conquest. While the modest Jews started cause of independence, and one seems like a genuine convert as the root of it. Now look at the branches. See how far Satan has gone with it. It has brought up fruits, which are fake doctrine, fake worship, fake end-time expectation, welcoming of the Antichrist, hiding the original Israelites by bloodline, and Yahuwah's plans for them. That is why the whole world is seeing the Jacob trouble, but still they can't recognize it, because they think a bunch of random Africans are just suffering for no reason. Some people don't even understand the plan of Yahuwah's redemption in this end time, and you think all this effort that I'm making by the leading of the Ruach HaKodesh, that it doesn't matter. Remember what I read about them in part 2. A speech from Nasser Abdul, ex-Prime Minister of Egypt, That's the type of Jews they are. Semitic people are brown and black people, looking like every other African you can see around you today. Those people there are white people because they are from many European nations. Look at the genocide going on in Palestine. Those people affiliation with Israel or Jews has nothing to do with bloodline. And Yahuwah doesn't work like that. He works with covenant, like he made with our ancestors Abraham and his descendants. He works with bloodline, not converts. Those people has nothing to do with the reality of Yahuwah's plans for his people. Revelation 2 verse 9 says, I know about your suffering and your poverty, but you are rich. I know the blasphemy of those opposing you. They say they are Jews, but they are not, because they are the synagogue of Satan. The book of Jeremiah 16 verse 19 says, O Yahuwah, my strength, my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers has inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. I thought I've made it clear. This is their faith. He knows their blasphemy, prosperous slave trade.
On page 90, From Babylon to Timbuktu, it says this: the black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes. Now, this is going to tell you why the native indigenous black Africans worked with Islam to trap the house of Judah and sell them to the Ashkenazi ship owners that were also Portuguese and British Ashkenazi ship owners.
Those that are opposing us, they say they are Jews, yet they are not. With all this, I hope you can now come out of the lies and delusion now quickly, because time is soon coming when you cannot even hear the truth again, because everything will be controlled. There are many censorship on topics like this already. They own the media space. Even the owner of Meta, that's Mark Zuckerberg, is a Jewish man. I don't even want to go on and talk about their influence on the world that is contrary to what Bible prophesied as touching part of their identification and what is expected of the real Israel today through prophecy. I only needed you to know and hear the truth. So that is it. So now let's talk about the people that matters, the real people in the Bible. After proving their completion 100% in part 2 of this awakening series, let's find out about the saints of Israel and trace them with their faith, because any of their action comes with the consequences. The deal the creator of this world had with the real Israelite was to do good and be blessed and keep the land and be a great nation, or do evil in the land and be cursed and be scattered to every nation of the earth and suffer. I mean, everybody that has heard about the Bible should know this. It's a common story. As he brought them out of Egypt, it was a deal of a blessing or a curse. Deuteronomy 30:16-20 says, for I command you today to love Yahuwah, your Elohim, to walk in obedience of him, and to keep his command, decrees, and law. Then you will live and increase, and Yahuwah will bless you in the land you are entering to possess. But if your heart turns away and you are not obedient, and if you are drawn away to bow down to other gods and worship them, I declare to you this day that you will certainly be destroyed. You will not live long in the land you are crossing the Jordan to enter and possess. This day I will call the heavens and the earth as a witness against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live, and that you may love Yahuwah your Elohim. Listen to his voice and hold fast to him, for Yahuwah is your life, and he will give you many years in the land he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That was the deal. Again, Deuteronomy 28:1-2. If you fully obey Yahuwah your Elohim and carefully follow all his command I give you today, Yahuwah your Elohim will set you high above all the nations on earth. All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey Yahuwah your Elohim. Then he goes on and listed so many blessings. Then in Deuteronomy 28:15, however, if you do not obey Yahuwah your Elohim and do not carefully follow all his commands and decrees I am giving you today, all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. Then again, he went on and listed so many curses. And remember, it's not only Deuteronomy that talked about these blessings and curses, which is the deal he had with Israelites. So many other prophets, both major and minor, all prophesied the same thing. Because the word of Yahuwah is A and Amen. He doesn't change it. It's a covenant and a sign to them. So let's say the one they did, whether good or evil. 2 Kings 17:7-22. So it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahuwah their Elohim, which have brought them up out of the land of Egypt from the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Yahuwah has cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the king of Israel, which they have made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against Yahuwah their Elohim. And they built them high places in all of their cities, from the tower of the watchmen to the fenced city. And they set them up images and groves in high hills and under every green tree. And there they burned incense in all the high places, as did the heathen whom Yahuwah has carried away before them. and brought wicked things to provoke Yahweh to anger. For they served idols, whereof Yahweh has said unto them, Ye shall not do these things. Yet Yahweh testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets and by all the sayers, saying, Turn ye from your evil ways, and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the laws which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servants the prophets. Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks, like the necks of their fathers. They did not believe in Yahweh their Elohim, and they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimony which he testified against them. And they followed vanity, and became vain, and went after the heathens that ran about them, concerning whom Yahweh had charged them, that they should not do like them. And they left all the commandments of Yahweh their Elohim, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven, and served Baal, and caused their sons and daughters to pass through the fire, and used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him to anger. Therefore Yahweh was angry with Israel, removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. Also Judah kept not the commandment of Yahweh their Elohim, but walked in the statutes of Israel which they made. And Yahweh rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them. And he delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he has cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following Yahweh, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did. They departed not from them. The fact is that the king that did good in the sight of Yahweh is very little to compare with the ones that did evil. These are the charts. The children of Israel, our forefathers, was rebellious and stiff-necked. Imagine sacrifice their own son to idols because of the custom they got from their neighbors, from other places. Idol worshiping here and there. They did this multiple times in the Bible. Because of time, I can't read all of them. You can go on and read it separately on your own private time. But let me read few scriptures that can show you how Yahweh, our father, feels about this their sins, just so you know it was a strong offense and a heavy betrayal to Yahweh. Jeremiah 7:16-18, it says, So do not pray for these people, nor offer any plea or petition for them. Do not plead with me, for I will not listen to you. Do you not see what they are doing in the towns of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather woods, the father lights the fire, the women knead the dough, and make cake to offer to the queen of heaven. They pour out drink offerings to other gods, to arouse me to anger. GNT says, in order to hurt me. Some other translations say, to spike me, or to make me furious. You see, he's a loving father, but we made him angry. Another one is Jeremiah 2:5-11. Thus says Yahweh, what iniquity had your father found in me, that they have gone far from me, and have walked out of vanity, and have become vain? Neither said they, where is Yahweh that brought them out of the land of Egypt, that led us through the wilderness, a land of deserts and of pits, through a land of drought and of the shadow of death, through a land that no man passed through, and where no man dwelt. And I brought you into a plentiful country, to eat the fruit thereof, and the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defied my land, and made my heritage an abomination. The priest said not, where is Yahweh? And they that handled the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walked after things that do not profit. Wherefore will I plead with you, saith Yahweh, and with your children's children will I plead. For pass over the eyes of Chetans, and see, and send unto Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there be such a thing. Had a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods, but my people have changed their glory, for that which do not profit. Those that don't even have God, don't even change their gods. Although they have woos, but they never change their idols. They never change their gods. Have you ever seen a nation that did that? They never change their gods. But you people that have the living Elohim, change your gods to things that are vanity. Jeremiah 2:5-11. Read it personally on your own to feel how Yahweh felt about these people. You don't know what it means to Yahweh when you worship idol. And even our recent ancestors, as at during the time of transatlantic slave trade till now, some of us still worship the same idol, the abomination of their forefathers. Now you can testify that he is righteous to afflict us, even as of today, because of our ignorance and disobedience. Do you know what it means that you know that you are descendant of Israelites? Maybe your father or your elders have told you before. And through your culture, you have confirmed the connection and similarity through traditions. And you are still intentionally worshiping idols, and still cry to him because of the predicament of your people. And some of you might say, what about other idol worshippers afflicting us? Well, your ancestors were the one they gave the law and commandment to, and also made a covenant with. You just don't understand how it works. You are different. You are a royal priest, Yahweh's own chosen people. So that's why he will not let you go altogether unpunished. Anyways, Last one, let me divide with this one. Micah 6:1-3. Listen to what Yahweh says. Stand up, plead my case before the mountains. Let the hills hear what I have to say. Hear, you mountains, Yahweh's accusation. Listen, you everlasting foundations of the earth. For Yahweh has a case against his people. He is lodging a charge against Israel. My people, what have I done to you? How have I burdened you? Answer me. Did you hear that? Did you hear how that word came from the heart? Then from verse 4 went on and said all these good things he has done for them, and still they went on to betray him. Verses like this always give me chills. Imagine a whole creator of all things. He is sounding like this because of the disappointment and the betrayal, because we have hurt his feeling. Micah 6 verse 8 in that same Bible verse said, he has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does Yahweh requires of you, to act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your Elohim. You just have to understand that he's like a husband to Israel, but Israel is like a whoredom wife, very promiscuous, and a cheating spouse, like he always say. And he even gave an illustration with Prophet Uzziah about how promiscuous Israel is to him. Anyways, let me divide with this one. Then in verse 13, the consequences of their action. So this is their fate because of what they have done. Therefore, I have begun to destroy you, to ruin you because of your sins. Again, a parable and a prophecy of what he will do to the house of Israel. Isaiah 5:1-7 and 13. Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. He fenced it and gathered out the stone thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it would bring forth grape, and it brought forth white grapes. Now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and the men of Judah, I pray you, between me and my vineyard, what could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it could bring forth grapes, it brought forth white grapes. And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the edge thereof, and it shall be eaten up. I will break down the walls thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up barriers and thorns. I will also command the crowds that they rain no rain on it. For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his present plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression, for righteousness, but behold, a cry. Verse 13. Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. I hope all of this is very understandable, right? So the consequence of their sin was a consistent prophecy throughout their lineage. There are many Bible verses and through many different prophets that have repeatedly prophesied what Israel has done. Then Yahweh's plan to punish and scatter them through slavery and captivity as the result of their actions, and how we also pity them in the end times and restore them. Then the Messiah will rule over them, giving us the world power forever in righteousness and power by crushing all the adversaries. But because time is limited and we are trying to review some crucial things on this awakening series to connect some dots, so let me show you some notable things he said that we will do to them, so you can use it and dictate the real children of Israel, because it's also like a sign and an identity to them. So skipping the blessing part, because clearly as I have shown you, they didn't keep the commandment, they didn't keep the law, they didn't keep his way. In fact, they even killed the Messiah that was sent to them. So I will randomly read very few notable signs through their curses, Deuteronomy, so that I will use it to explain another plot twist. So in Deuteronomy 28 verse 25, it says, concerning their faith and what will be of them as they didn't keep the commandment and the statutes of Yahweh, their Elohim. Yahweh will cause you to be defeated before your enemy. You shall go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and you shall become troublesome to all the kingdom of the earth. Another one is Deuteronomy 28:32-34. It says, your sons and daughters shall be given to another people. Your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all day long, and there shall be no strength in your hand. A nation whom you have not known shall eat the fruit of your land and the produce of your labor, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed continuously. So shall you be driven mad because of the sights which your eyes sees. These are very significant if you are observant on what is happening today, throughout the history though, not just today. It's very clear, it's very significant. Imperialism, neo-colonial powers, as you can see it. Deuteronomy 28:36-37, it says, Yahweh will bring you and the king whom you have set over you to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. And there shall you serve other gods, wood and stone. And you shall be an astonishment, a proverb, a byword, among all the nations where Yahweh will drive you. This is talking about slavery. Bywords like nigger, black monkey, etc. So many of them. Deuteronomy 28:43-44. The aliens who live among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Anywhere they are, whether in a white man land or even in African country, where they are the same complexion, they will still be lower and oppressed, maybe because of their tribe. And there will be political reason, there will be reason that looks like it's justifiable for this. You know, I'm not denying the fact. It will not happen all like a magic or like all of a sudden. There will be justifiable reason, maybe to so many people, why it is happening. But this is just like a sign to them. It will not happen all like a magic, but it's a sign to them that this is their trace. This is their fate because of these things that have been revealing. Okay, I didn't say that, yeah, they probably will be wrong or maybe they will be right, but this is the reason why it is happening in the first place. You know, not like Yahweh didn't know, but this is their fate. Whether they are in Africa, the same place, you know, if it's in America, they will say because they are white and because these people are black, so it's a racial division and classification. But even if they are in Africa, the same country, the same people, everybody looks the same, but because of tribe, there will be other reason to justify, maybe politically, religious, any other part of separation or segregation. They will just be oppressing them. They will be forever be oppressed. Okay,
Nigeria has a problem. Nigeria has an Igbo problem. There is a secret memo, I don't know where it is located in government, that whenever we want to take charge in this country, be careful of the Igbo. Don't give them position. Don't give them opportunity. Otherwise, they will overrun. It's a secret. It is a well-known fact. Even our parents, wow, tell us, Igbo. You understand? Some of them even say unconsciously, they even say it on radio shows in this country. So don't let us lie to ourselves, because except we bring this out openly and discuss, it's a taboo that we have refused to discuss.
True.
What the Biafrans were asking for before the war.
What were they asking for?
They were asking for to be treated not as second-class citizens in this country.
I hereby sentence the convicts to life imprisonment.
Book of Deuteronomy 28, 46 to 50, it says, and they shall be unto you like a sign and a wonder, and on your descendants forever, because you did not serve Yahweh your Elohim with joy and gladness of heart, for the abundance of everything. Therefore you shall serve your enemy, whom Yahweh will send against you, in hunger, in thirst, in nakedness, and in need of everything. And he will put a yoke of iron on your neck until he has destroyed you. Yahweh will bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose language you will not understand, a nation of a fierce countenance, which does not respect the elderly, nor show favor to the young. If you are paying attention to all these signs, it's very remarkable. It's nothing to overlook or neglect. A nation with a fierce countenance that doesn't show respect to the young or the elders, they don't have respect, they don't have morals. You know, they are very wayward, don't show respect to the elders. As swift as eagle flies. Remember, he said he will put a yoke of iron on their neck. That's the slave trade. You know, that's exactly how it happened in transatlantic slave trade. Now, let me round up with this one. Lastly, book of Deuteronomy 28:68. And Yahuwah will take you back to Egypt in ships, by the way of which I have said to you, you shall never see it again. And there you shall be offered for sales to your enemy, as male and female slave, but no one will buy you or redeem you. The word there, buy, can also mean redeem. These are very notable and major sign that we often see, but we never knew the reason why it was like that. So if you consider that this is a sign that follows this particular group of people, because them and their ancestors didn't obey Yahweh, where do you see such people with this sign listed here? Look around you today. Now let me give you more clue about them with this revelation that I'm closing with. There's a popular misconception people have believed all their lives in the Bible, and honestly it's not the fault of the people that is reading, because it's actually there like that in the Bible. Let me explain. In the book of Genesis 15 verse 1, it says, after these events, the word of Yahweh came to Abraham in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abraham. I am your shield, your very great reward. So Yahweh made so many promises to Abraham. But for this particular revelation, let me read the one he said in book of Genesis 15, 13 to 14. Then Yahweh said to Abraham, know for certain that your offspring will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and will be servants there, and they will be afflicted for 400 years. But I will bring judgment on the nation that they serve, and afterward they shall come out with great possession. So that's a very profound prophecy that ends with them coming out with a great possession and with judgment to the nations. That Genesis 15:13 that says 400 years of slavery. We all have been taught in churches and in schools and has believed all our life that captivity in Egypt was 400 years, and it was the fulfillment of that Bible prophecy. Or should I say 430 years instead in Egypt. And I don't blame anyone for this misunderstanding, because it's literally written in the Bible. Exodus 12 verse 40 said, now the people of Israel have lived in Egypt for 430 years. So it's basically there in the Bible like that. So it's nobody's fault. But actually, it's a lie. That Bible verse is manipulated. Maybe for you to believe it's already fulfilled, and to look elsewhere when you see some things happening under your nose today. And I will prove it to you. The children of Israel was never in Egypt as slaves for 400 years. In fact, even plus before they became slaves, when Joseph was still the prime minister, when they entered the land of Egypt till when Yahweh delivered them through Moses, the whole event was never up to 400 years, not to talk of 430 years. Now let's do the math, okay? In Genesis 46 verse 8, when the Bible listed the names of the sons of Jacob and his descendants that went into the land of Egypt, in verse 11, when he was naming the sons of Levi that was among the journey, Kohath was among them, and that Kohath was the grandfather of Moses. Kohath died at 133 years. Now, both book of Exodus 6 verse 18, 1 Chronicles 6 verse 2, and book of Numbers 3 verse 19, they all listed the sons of Kohath, and among them is the father of Moses. His name was Amram, and he lived for 137 years. Both information is in the book of Exodus 6 verse 20. Then in Deuteronomy 33 verse 7 says Moses was 120 years when he died. Now I know that for a fact that they didn't give birth till at least they have come up to age. I know that the years overlapped. And I also know that Moses was 80 years when they left Egypt. Even if I act as if I'm not aware of it and calculate the whole 120 years of Moses' life plus 137 years Amram his father and 133 years Kohath his grandfather, even though that Kohath was born in Israel or Canaan, it's still not up to 400 years interval, not to talk about 430 years, like the book of Exodus 12 verse 40 said. Let's break it down a little more. Moses was 80 years when he left Egypt. That's minus 40 out of the 390 that we calculated. But because I don't know how many years Kohath was when he gave birth to Amram, and I don't know how many years Amram was when he gave birth to Moses, so I will skip those two. You'll just know that it can possibly minus up to 100 years from this calculation, but let's still leave it at 350 years. So let's minus how many years there were under Joseph as free people in Egypt, because after Joseph died, it was a new king that didn't know Joseph that came up as Pharaoh and started oppressing them. So in Genesis 41 verse 46, we know that Joseph was 30 years when he started serving in the course of Pharaoh. So in Genesis 46 verse 7, when Jacob and his descendants came to Egypt, it's supposed to be after 7 years of great plenty, in between 7 years of famine in the land. So let's divide that 7 years into 2 and add 3 in the age of Joseph. Let's say Joseph was 40 years then. So according to Genesis 50 verse 26, it says that Joseph was 110 years when he died in Egypt. So 110 years minus 40 years is 70. So for that 70 years, they were not slaves. So 70 minus 355, that's about 280 years. So they were slaves and afflicted in Egypt for just 280 years, or much less than that. But in the book of Joshua 81, 3-4, it says, and the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in the land of Egypt in hard labor was 210 years. And at the end of the 210 years, Yahweh brought forth the children of Israel from Egypt with a strong hand. Mind you, that verse was talking about when they came in and when they left. It was 210 years. So when they became slaves, could be a lot less. The book of Joshua was recognized 2 times in the Bible. So it's legit. Even those in the Bible read the book of Joshua. I hope with this information now that I have proven to you that Exodus 40 was manipulated. Let's verify some more. I believe the year provided in book of Joshua was more accurate. So because of these things I noticed, I wanted to understand it more. And I started searching for all the people that talked about the 400 years of slavery or 430 years of slavery in the land of Egypt. As I noticed the error in Exodus 12 verse 40. So I quickly noticed that it was mentioned in the book of Acts of the Apostles 7 verse 6 before Stephen was stoned to death. But he didn't say anything about the fulfillment of that prophecy. He was just narrating both the promise and the history. Then Apostle Paul mentioned it in book of Galatians 3 verse 17. And that Galatians 3 verse 17 stood out for me because I know that oftentimes the Bible explains itself. So I want you to relax a little more. This is Bible study, okay? So in the book of Galatians 3 verse 17, New Living Translation, it says, this is what I'm trying to say. The agreement Elohim made with Abraham could not be cancelled 430 years later when Elohim gave the law to Moses. Elohim would be breaking his promise. Yes, so this is it. I found it. This is the answer. So another math to calculate if it is true that Abraham's agreement with Elohim took 430 years to get to Moses. So according to Genesis 12:3, when Elohim had that agreement with Abraham, verse 4 said that he was 75 years old. Then Abraham later gave birth to Isaac when he was 100 years, according to book of Genesis 21 verse 5. That's 25 years plus. According to Genesis 25 verse 26, Isaac was 60 years when Rebekah gave birth to both Esau and Jacob. So 60 plus 25 is 85. So again, According to Genesis 47 verse 9, when Jacob got to Egypt, he told Pharaoh that he has traveled this earth for 130 years. In Genesis 47 verse 8, Pharaoh asked him, how old are you? So 130 years plus 85 years is 215 years. So 215 years from when Elohim had that agreement with Abraham till when Israel entered Egypt. So according to Paul in that Galatians 3 verse 17, what he's trying to say indirectly is that when Israel entered Egypt till when they got the law in the wilderness, it's half of 430 years, so 215 years. My calculation gave me 280 years minus the age both Kohath and Amram was when they married and gave birth. And the book of Joshua said 210 years they stayed in Egypt, including the time they were free. So when they became slaves, could be a lot less, maybe about 100 and something years. It was never 400 years or 330 years of captivity or slavery. That Exodus 12 verse 40 that said the length of the time Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years. It's totally manipulated. So you won't ask some question on some certain things. The earliest Greek translation of the Bible we know today was translated in Egypt by scholars. It's called the Septuagint. That's Exodus 12:40. It says, and the sojourning of the children of Israel while they sojourned in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan was 430 years. So he said Canaan and Egypt. But in King James Version, another recent translation removed Canaan and left only Egypt. That caused that confusion and misunderstanding, and that misconception that many people have today.
400 years we have waited.
400 years in bondage, and today he won't move.
After 400 years of slavery.
It was manipulated. King James Bible version was written around the time of the Renaissance era, when the whitewashing of history was at its peak. And again, the focus of this is to prove that Israel wasn't in Egypt for neither 400 years or 430 years. According to the information collected from both the book of Joshua, Apostle, Septuagint, proves that when they entered Egypt and when they left Egypt was within 215 years, both as free people and as slaves. It is important to note again that this manipulation or error first appeared in King James. It was published in 1611, again during the Renaissance era, because the Renaissance period was from 1400s to the 1700s. That's when history was basically rewritten and whitewashed and all that. At that same period, millions of people were taken out from Africa in ships to a foreign nation where neither them nor their ancestors know nothing about. It is all too much to be a coincidence. It's during that same era that all the painting of the biblical characters was done white to remove any form of suspects by Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. So it was both in Canaan and Egypt. So that Bible verse was manipulated.
Historic vote at the United Nations on slavery. The UN General Assembly has declared that slavery is the gravest crime against humanity.
Today we commemorate the victims of a staggering crime. Millions of people stolen from their families and communities in Africa, trafficked across the Atlantic, and if they survived the journey, enslaved in the Americas. Millions more were born into bondage, brutally exploited for their labor, and denied their basic humanity. We honor their quiet resilience and courageous acts of open resistance. This global order prevailed for over 400 years and haunts our world even now. This global order prevailed for over 400 years and haunts our world even now. This global order prevailed for over 400 years.
Now we have seen it. Again, that Genesis 15:13-14, which says, then Yahweh said to Abraham, for a certain that your offspring will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and they will be servants there, and they will be afflicted for 400 years. But I will bring judgment on the nation that they serve, and afterward they shall come out with great possession. You see, this event didn't happen in the Bible. As I've clearly proven it to you, it never happened in the Bible. So the question will be, if the fulfillment of Yahweh's prophecy to Abraham wasn't in Egypt, as we are taught all this while, and the Bible never documented any captivity or affliction of the children of Israel in a foreign land for 400 years, till when the Bible finished, shortly after Messiah's first coming. The prophecy wasn't fulfilled from Genesis to Revelation, and the Messiah was still prophesying about the same thing in book of Luke 21:24. They shall be killed by sword and sent away captive to all the nations of the world, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down by the Gentiles until the period of the Gentiles comes to an end. This shows that the prophecy is still hanging on the air even after Messiah was crucified. And we have Deuteronomy 28:68 and all other Deuteronomy saying that they will be taken back to Egypt in ships, and that didn't happen. Remember, that didn't happen in the Bible. In ships, and they will be afflicted. And Messiah is still saying that there will be that way till the time of the Gentiles is complete. And we know that that what we end the time of Gentile when it will be complete, according to prophecy of Prophet Daniel, when the stone comes, is the kingdom of Yahweh. That's the second coming of Messiah. That's the time of the prophecy will be complete. And Yahweh said to Abraham, after those affliction of the children of Israel in those days, he will judge the nations that afflicted them. And that's like the day of Yahweh, or the judgment like he did in Egypt, and like he prophesied in the book of Revelation about his wrath, his golden vials, and all those signs that he will drop on those last days. And again, it's the second coming of the Messiah that will redeem both the natural and the white branch. We all know we are still in the time of the Gentiles, and we also know that this is the end time. The day of Yahweh is near. So as the coming of our Messiah that we end the time of the Gentiles. Maybe you should look around and see if there's anywhere the children of Israel are being afflicted today. Look around you today and see if there's any group of people that looks like they are fulfilling all these Bible prophecies, that we end with judgment of nations and the end of the time of the Gentiles and the second coming of Messiah. But maybe in part 4 of this awakening series, I will find where that prophecy was fulfilled, because it wasn't fulfilled in the Bible. So we will search for few history books to see locations where the residue of the children of biblical Israel was documented. This revelation and the fate of Israel in the future, which is making them one big nation or kingdom with the white branch too, and gathering them back to their own land where they won't be afflicted or oppressed ever again, is actually mind-blowing. He said he will give them riches of the Gentiles, no more imperialism, no more neo-colonialism that kept many of them in abject poverty and hardship, no more bad leaders that are puppet to their oppressors, but the Messiah will rule over them and give them rest forever. So for some people that says there's nothing like karma, because they see the evil ones still prospering even after all their evil deeds. Well, actually, there's nothing like karma, but there's Elohim of Israel. His name is Yahweh. The promise of Yahweh to Abraham said that they will come out with great possession after 400 years of affliction. This has never been documented, both in the Bible or any history book. And when the Bible says he will give them the riches of the Gentiles, that's when the Messiah comes. Other world readers will come and worship in Zion. So I just want you to meditate on this word and figure out the time that we are in now and know where this word is heading to. Okay, so with all that being said, well, let me end with these two Bible verses about the plan of Yahweh for his people in these last days. The prophecy of Prophet Jeremiah 16:12-15 is, but you have behaved more wickedly than your ancestors. See how all of you are following stubbornness of your evil hearts instead of obeying me. So I will throw you out of this land into a land neither you nor your ancestors have known. And there you will serve other gods day and night, for I will show you no favor. However, the days are coming, declares Yahweh, when it shall no longer be said, as surely as Yahweh lives, who brought the Israelites up out of Egypt. But it shall be said, surely as Yahweh lives, who brought the children of Israelites up out of the land of the north, and out of all the country where he has banished them. I will restore them to the land I gave their ancestors. In that verse 13, at least the ancestors knew Egypt. So where could he be talking about? In verse 14 and verse 15, still on the same event, we still know him for what he did in Egypt. A time is coming where we will know him for the second one, that he will restore all of them that were scattered to all nations, that were banished to all nations. A time is coming when we will know him as that one, that he has restored them that was banished to all, he banished them to all nations, all the ends of the earth, and all the country he has banished them. So a time is coming where he will be known as that one. For now, we still know him as what he did in Egypt. Prophet Ezekiel 20:33-38. As I live, declare Yahuwah Elohim, with a mighty hand and with outstretched arm and with wrath poured out, I assuredly shall be king over you. I will bring you out from the people and gather you from the land where you are scattered, with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm and with wrath poured out. I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I enter into judgment with you face to face, just as I entered into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So I will enter into judgment with you, declares Yahuwah Elohim. I will make you pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. I will purge from you the rebels and those who revolt against me. I will bring them out of the land where they reside, but they will not enter the land of Israel. So you will know that I am Yahuwah. These are very profound. We are yet to see this event that is prophesying here about the restoration. Make sure that your expectation for this end time is in line with the Bible. Don't be delusional. Take a moment and let all this revelation sink in, okay? When some say or even think all this doesn't matter, it shows they are ignorant. Lack of awareness or information, about the future. This whole revelation, both past, present, and future, that have been exposed in and teaching matters way much more than you can imagine. In fact, the whole fabric of creation of this world is related and surrounded around these mysteries that I'm revealing. It's so important to the devil that he has carefully and successfully put the whole generation in the dark established falsehood, and made sure that they are confused and delusional with the expectation and interpretation of the Bible. The full identity and uncompromised history of this kingdom we are preparing for matters too much, so that you can understand things properly and not perish out of lack of knowledge. Now, if you have known to this extent, now you can easily start understanding what's actually going on in this world, even the secret things of this earth, the agenda behind every move, and why everything is happening the way you see it today. It will all start making sense. In the end of this series, I will come down and list the benefit of this revelation as it's related to the understanding of Rapture series and the new kingdom that was promised. This is called the Awakening series for a reason. Why do you think that when the colonial masters came, that it was necessary for them to superimpose their culture and laws on us, give us English names, and force their language on us? So you don't know that is a war on identity, to hide, neutralize, and subdue some people's identity. Well, this Awakening series is trying to revive some people's real identity. If you know who you are, you will see that it's very unnecessary to repeat the disobedience of your ancestors, and you will be the one to teach the Gentiles the right way our Father is supposed to be worshipped, as the nation of priests that we are. The natural branch is supposed to direct the white branch, not the other way around that created so many false doctrines that we have today. Among the three Abrahamic religions, there are so many real descendants of biblical Israelites among them, practicing any of those religions. But you just have to know that religion was not what Elohim gave our ancestors. He gave us a culture. Religion is when a culture travels. So let's go back home. So this brings us to the end of today's video. If you have watched this video to this extent, please do us a favor. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and most importantly, turn on your notification button to get notified for whenever we upload a new video. Thank you so much. God bless you. See you next time.